Welcome to this video lecture. Myself Atul Kumar, working as a assistant professor in Department of Computer Science, Rajiv Gandhi Memorial, Government College, Jogindanagar. In this video lecture, I will discuss about data models in terms of database management system. So, what is a data model? So, it defines the underlying structure of the database. This means it tells what kind of information to be stored in the database, how the data items that are stored in the database are related to each other. So, what kind of relationship is between the data items that are in between the data in the database, and how that information that is stored in the database can be used. So the basic building blocks of data models are entities, attributes, relationship, and the constraint. So why data modeling is important? So it helps in the better understanding or the faster understanding of the organization. So also it helps in the better communication with application programmers and end users. Data models are also be used by the database designers for building the physical data. So there are different types of data models available. We have two types of data models available. One is object based data models and other are record based data models. So in object based data models we have entity relationship models and object oriented models, and in case of record based data models we have hierarchical model, we have network model, and we have relational model. So in this video lecture I will discuss only about object based data models. In the next video lecture I will discuss record based data models. So what is object based data models? As the name suggests, it basically based on the object. And what is object? It is a real world entity. So they are also called as conceptual model. So they uses entities, that is the real world object, attributes, and the relationship between them. So they are used for describing the data at both the logical level and user level. So they also allow the various constraints to be specified on the data explicitly by the user. So first object based data model, we have a entity relationship model. So entity is nothing but a real world object that is exist in the real world and is also distinguishable from the other objects. So like for example, we have a specific person as a entity, we call a person as a entity, we call company, event, plant, any object like car is also an entity in the real world. So it is a entity in the database entity relationship model. So entity will have some kind of attributes or properties, and these properties are called as attributes. Like in case if I will talk about a car, so if we have a car as an entity in the real world, so car has some kind of properties, like it has a color, it has a shape, it has also model number, it has also a company of build manufacturer company. So all these are the properties of the car. Likewise every entity in the real world have a attributes. If I talk about the entity customer, so customer has some kind of properties like customer name, so it has a customer name as a property or attribute, social security as another attribute, customer street as a or address as a another attribute, and customer city as a another attribute. Suppose we have another entity called account. So account can have properties account number and balance. Next statement in entity relationship model, we have a or definition, we have a domain. So it is the set of permitted values for each attribute. So for example, suppose we have a domain for the balance of an account. Account is an entity and balance is the attribute for that entity account. So domain for the balance of account can have a set of positive real number. So the balance in the account must be a positive, it can't be a negative. In case of as account is a real word entity and the domain is the set of all positive real numbers starting from 1 to infinity. The next statement we have entity set or definition in entity relationship model is a entity set. So it is a collection of entities of the same kind or having the same set of the properties. So all the entities having same kind of properties, they are collected together and they form the entity set. The next is the relationship. So it is basically the association among different kind of entities. For example, in case of banking database, we have an entity customer and we have another entity account, and how the customer is associated with the account with the help of a relationship depositor. So customer can deposit some money to the account, so deposit is a kind of relationship that a customer have with the account. So next we have a relationship set. So it is a set of relationships of same kind or having the same set of attributes. So basically database in the ER model, it is the combination of entity set and the relationship sets. Next we have entity relationship model. So this one is a ER model diagram. We have two kind of entities, one is student entity and other is course entity, and how the student is associated or with course with the help of result. So result is a kind of relationship here. So student have the attributes roll number, student name, student address, and course have the entity subcode and subject title, and relationships result has the attribute marks. The next we have the model, we have object oriented data model. So it is also like a ER model. So it is a collection of different kind of objects. So in case of object oriented model, we have two type of we can encapsulate data and methods, that is basically the function to manipulate the data. So grouping of data variable and functions into a single entity, it is called as a class. So class, and there are different variables of the class, and these variables are called as object. So to communicate between the object of same class, they can be invoked by the functions of the object whose data is to be accessed. So this one is the example of object oriented data model. We have a variables, that is a data variables, and we have also a functions that operate on those variable to manipulate the data. And this one is the interface, and this interface is called as total is a class, and class has variable that is a object, and each object can communicate with other object by invoking the method of that object, and these object methods are called as functions. So in the next video lecture I will discuss about another models, record based data models. So this is all about this video lecture. Thanks for watching this video lecture. Thanks.